Are you ready for the bunads? Here goes. So, why these super expensive, very warm, very tight and heavy costumes, you ask, that we only wear a few times a year? Well, it all started with this lady. Her name is Hulda Garborg, and she was one of those who really burnt for this Norwegian identity and how the people of Norway should try to find their identity after being under Danish rule for several hundred years and then in union with Sweden. And she went back to our rural roots. On the countryside in Norway, all the way up till the mid-1800s, people dressed in homemade clothes. They were made from scratch. They spun the wool, they wove the fabrics, they decorated. Everything was done at home on each farm. In each region, they had quite a similar cut and design of the decorations, while it was some diversity in how much decorations you had and what they were made of, depending on what you got a hold of. If you had some lace ribbons or silk ribbons, silver thread, gold thread, all these things was put on your best costume. And then you had everyday costumes that was not that elaborate in decorations. These costumes are called folk costumes. That was what people actually wore on the countryside, not in the towns. They were more international. And you can see some of these folk costumes here. As you can see, they have similarities and then there's differences. And each region had their own costume tradition, and some places you can see that it hasn't really changed much since the Middle Ages, and other places it changed with the fashion in the cities and abroad. What is noticeable about these folk costumes are that they all are very, they make women look very voluptuous. That was the ideal woman. If you had a little fat on your body, you would survive a hard winter or two, and you could also have many children, and that was important for the Norwegian farming community. So even though you weren't voluptuous, your costume would make you look like you had a big bosom, sort of a narrow waist, and then wide hips. And also they were very practical when it came to pregnancy. You didn't need special clothing for when you were pregnant. You could just move the belt up, or you could just move your skirt up, so you didn't really need special clothing. That was also important because some women were pregnant more than they were not because they had a lot of children. Very few made it to adulthood, but still, if you could bear children, you would do it a lot. And for the Bunad tradition, it is loosely based on these folk costumes. Some Bunads are very similar to special regions in Norway, and others are not. The folk costumes went out of tradition, and when we say living tradition, it means that you wear them on a daily basis. But from the mid-1800s, the everyday clothing were changed into bought fabrics, cotton and cheaper things that you didn't have to make yourself. And then you only wore your folk costume for special occasions. And now we have some of those folk costumes still in tradition on special occasions, while others, like mine, are designed not based on a costume at all. And the bunads in Norway are categorized. You have category 1, which is based on a folk costume, the whole costume. And then 2 and 3 have some, they have elements of a folk costume. And then you have category 4, this one, which is not at all. But this one, if you can see my silver, the silver is based on buttons found on a man's suit from, I think, the 1700s in the region that this is from. This is from Troms, up north in Norway. And also the fabric in the skirt is also some fabric they found. So it's based on items from the region, but it's not based on a costume. So now I'm ready to venture out on this lovely 17th of May with sunshine, and we celebrate our National Day with a huge parade. Well, I live in the capital, so of course there's more people here, but all over Norway, children are walking in parades with marching bands and flags and singing, and then we eat as many ice creams possible and hot dogs, and have sort of games and fun at the schools, preferably outdoors. And then at night, barbecuing is common, and cake. Pavlova is the most popular cake at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed my little Bunad story, and have a lovely day.